On the eastern edge of Singapore, above the coastline of Changi, there stands a building that generations have learned to fear. By day, it is only an abandoned hospital, but after dark, people claim the corridors are no longer empty. Former soldiers spoke of voices echoing from sealed wards. Urban explorers ran from shadows they could never explain. And for decades, one rumor refused to die. That Old Changi Hospital was never truly abandoned. Long before ghost hunters arrived with cameras and flashlights, Changi was already a place shaped by fear. In the 1930s, the British transformed eastern Singapore into a military stronghold. Barracks, bunkers, and hospitals were built across the coastline as tensions in Asia escalated. Singapore was known as the Gibraltar of the East, a fortress meant to withstand invasion. But history would soon turn the hill above Changi into something far darker. In February 1942, Singapore fell to Japanese forces. The defeat became one of the greatest military disasters in British history. The Changi region quickly became associated with imprisonment, torture, disease, and death. Nearby camps held prisoners of war under brutal conditions. Survivors later described starvation, executions, disappearances, and psychological torment that haunted them long after the war ended. Across Southeast Asia, places marked by violent death are believed to become spiritually heavy, and many believe Changi never recovered from what happened there. The structure known today as Old Changi Hospital evolved through decades of military and medical use. It served British forces, Japanese occupation authorities, Singaporean military personnel, and eventually civilians. But once the building was abandoned, everything changed. An occupied hospital feels clinical. An empty hospital feels wrong. The silence becomes unnatural. The corridors feel endless. And every room seems to remember something. The most famous story connected to Old Changi Hospital involves a woman dressed entirely in white. Witnesses describe seeing her standing silently near broken windows, sometimes at the end of hallways, sometimes inside rooms that should have been empty. The descriptions were strangely consistent. Long black hair, pale face, slow movement, and sudden disappearance. Across Asia, similar figures appear in ghost folklore again and again. The Malay Pontianak, the Japanese Onryu, the white-clothed ghost of Chinese tradition. Different cultures, but the same fear. As the hospital's reputation spread, more stories began to emerge. Visitors claimed they heard screaming from empty wards, metal banging deep inside the building, conversations in rooms where nobody stood. Some believed the sounds were environmental, wind moving through broken architecture, wildlife echoing through concrete corridors. But others believed something remained trapped inside the hospital. In Chinese spiritual traditions, recurring sounds are sometimes described as yin echoes, emotional residue attached to a location, a memory replaying itself. For generations, Singaporean National Service recruits exchanged ghost stories connected to jungle camps, abandoned barracks, and wartime locations. Old Changi Hospital became one of the most feared sites of all. Stories spread through military culture. Soldiers described footsteps following them during patrols, cold spots appearing without explanation, radios malfunctioning near stairwells, shadow figures watching from dark windows. Whether believed literally or not, the stories became part of the initiation itself, a rite of passage built around fear. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Old Changi Hospital entered a new era. The internet transformed local rumors into national obsession. Ghost hunters arrived carrying infrared cameras, EVP recorders, religious charms, and night vision equipment. Many claimed their batteries drained unexpectedly. Others reported scratches appearing on their skin. Some insisted unseen entities followed them home after leaving the building. Not every video was genuine. Some were clearly staged. But the atmosphere inside the hospital was real enough to make almost anyone uneasy. Psychologists believe abandoned hospitals trigger some of humanity's deepest fears: death, illness, isolation, loss of control. Long corridors and identical rooms create disorientation. Darkness amplifies uncertainty. And once people expect something paranormal, the brain begins searching for signs. Every sound feels significant. Every shadow appears alive. Fear itself becomes part of the haunting. As Old Changi Hospital gained notoriety, fabricated stories multiplied. Edited videos, fake apparitions, staged encounters designed to go viral. But even the hoaxes revealed something important. People wanted the hospital to be haunted, because haunted places allow societies to externalize fear, to transform trauma into myth, and to give forgotten ruins emotional meaning. Over the years, authorities restricted access to the hospital due to trespassing and safety concerns. Redevelopment discussions surfaced repeatedly, and eventually the building itself began fading into history. But haunted places rarely disappear when they are demolished. Their stories survive through military folklore, urban legends, online videos, and whispered conversations after dark. The physical structure may collapse, but the fear remains. Old Changi Hospital frightens people for a reason. Not simply because of ghost stories, but because it reflects something buried beneath modern Singapore itself: colonial violence, wartime suffering, forgotten trauma, and spiritual beliefs that modernization never fully erased. Whether ghosts exist or not, the emotional weight of the place is undeniable. Perhaps that is why every generation keeps resurrecting the legend. Not because the hospital is alive, but because history still is. Would you enter Old Changi Hospital alone?